Hey guys, Lydia here, and today I want to talk about guns. Everywhere you look on Xbox One, there are guns. Big guns, small guns, but mostly big guns. With so many of the things vying for our attention, it's understandable that some game designers decide to take their weapons in a slightly more unusual direction. We've been playing some games with some strange weapons, and it got us thinking about the 10 weirdest guns we've ever pulled the trigger on. So let's take a look at some of the candidates. Let's start off with a gun that's a bit rubbish. Or rather, it fires bits of rubbish. Yes, Fallout 4's Junk Jet makes a strong case for the importance of recycling. Whatever trash you shove down the barrel can be fired out at deadly speeds. Who needs bullets when you live in a world littered in infinite crap? Some items make more sense than others. Filling it with wrenches, hammers and baseballs is going to cause some considerable hurt to any raider silly enough to stand in the way of your aim. But isn't it more fun to fill her up with baby rattles and alarm clocks and see how skulls hold up? I'm far more interested in seeing the impact a chessboard has on the human face. For the record, it doesn't give them much more than a black eye, but at least we know that now. Some items prove to be old reliables. A tin can will happily tear a man's head clean off. It's kind of ironic considering they were designed for long life. But the real surprise is the clipboard. You may know it as a piece of humble stationery, but fired from a junk jet, it is neither humble nor stationary. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to take another high street survey without flinching. The Borderlands games could fill this list by themselves. In a world with millions of potential weapon part combinations, it's gonna serve up some weird and wonderful toys. As fun as it is to have a machine that fires rockets or some such madness, our pick has to be the Morningstar, the talking sniper rifle in Borderlands 2. With the ability to boost the strength of subsequent critical hits, it's a fine gun in its own right, but what makes it really special is the way the gun constantly criticizes your actions on the battlefield. The gun will tell you off when you reload. It'll get cross when you take another life. It might also nag you about domestic matters. Or just try and guilt trip you. The idea of a gun with a conscience is certainly a first for a video game. It's a bit harsh to judge us for using a gun for what it's designed for, but we still admire the imagination behind it. And if you can't deal with the judgy gun, you could always try Borderlands the pre-sequel, where another talking gun, the Boganella, offers slightly fruitier takes. Our next game, Get Even, slightly slipped under the radar due to being released close to E3, but it is home to some interesting ideas told in broken flashbacks in the head of a wounded mercenary. And its heart is a piece of military tech called the corner gun. This does exactly what it says on the tin. It's a gun that shoots around corners. It has a hinge in the middle that lets you flip the barrel around a corner, and a screen that lets you take aim without revealing your cowardly ass in the process. It can take a while to get used to some of its quirks. In a busy gunfight, it's easy to forget where the rest of your body is in relation to the gun, which means you might comically shuffle out into the path of an oncoming bullet. And if you want to aim it over cover, you need to look at the sky and then bend the gun 90 degrees, which is not something they teach you in most first-person shooters. But it's well worth mastering, as the game has a heavy stealth element. Enemies will take out intruders ruthlessly, so it makes more sense to hang back and let your gun scout out areas for you. I like that the corner gun is both a tool that gives stealth a very different flavour, and that the gun itself is a key part of the story, which is more than you can say for my next pick. Yes, from the sublime to the ridiculous, it's Mr. Toots. Mr. Toots is a unicorn who fires rainbows out of his butt. You just lift up his tail and out it comes, and it looks bloody painful too, if the expression on Mr. Toots' face is anything to go by. This raises so many questions. What is an adorable unicorn doing in the grim industrial world of Red Faction Armageddon? What do they feed him to make sure such a constant stream of multicoloured death comes pouring out of his butt? Why does a rainbow cause Mr. Toots so much pain? It's only light, isn't it? Or does he have to pop out the pot of gold that's at the end of every rainbow? And how exactly does a rainbow incinerate flesh and knock down masonry? No. This doesn't add up at all. Do the designers know anything about science? If you can look past the illogical nature of Mr. Toots, you can obtain this very strange weapon by completing the game once. He'll then appear in the world on subsequent playthroughs. An exciting world of colourful intestinal death awaits you. Godspeed. I'm going to go retro with the next choice, all the way back to Rare's classic first-person shooter, Perfect Dark. This was the game that wrote the rulebook on weird and wonderful weapons, with heaps of the things, and each gun boasting a secondary function that basically doubled your arsenal. While I was tempted to include the laptop gun, a machine gun that morphs into an auto turret, my final pick has to be the Farsight. This piece of alien technology is the ultimate cheater's gun. Forget looking at your friend's corner of the screen, this bad boy can look through walls. Fire up its aiming mode and walls melt away into a dark void, revealing the bodies of your enemies running around. Little do these suckers know that there's a giant alien bullet with their name on it, one that can pass through as many walls as at once. It's a stupidly overpowered weapon really, only held back by this slightly sluggish aim and the fact that while you're focusing on the other side of a level, another player might be sneaking up, ready to unload one of those many other weapons into your exposed back. If you want a really crazy match, give everyone a Farsight and see what happens. Duels unfold without players ever stepping into the same room. That's the magic of the Farsight. My next pick is unusual as it's the only gun that doesn't kill people. In fact, it makes people. Found in the strange labyrinth of the Swapper, this gun lets you clone your body. You just aim where you want a copy of your body to appear and pull the trigger. It's a vital piece of tech, as much of the machinery in this world is designed to be used by multiple pairs of hands. Soon, you're cloning yourself 4 times over, building a mini army to save yourself. But the gun also has a second, slightly more sinister function. It lets you fire your consciousness into any clone you make, in order to take direct control and solve more complex puzzles. But the question is, which one of these clones is actually you? As your soul begins to play musical chairs with your 3D printed bodies, it's all too easy to lose track of your original self. Yes, this is a game where you progress by murdering yourself again and again and again. And if that thought is too grim for you, you could always just make a conga line of clones and pretend that you're in a big song and dance number. Anything to distract yourself from the existential dread, right? Way! Like Perfect Dark, Bulletstorm is another game that has lots of fun cooking up an arsenal packed with multiple functions. This is a game where the aim isn't just to kill, but to kill in an as violent way as possible. Chaining together attacks and dishing out as much pain before a body is turned to a bloody mist. My top tool for this is the flail gun. This beauty fires out a chain with an explosive on either end. By itself, it's a nifty remote mine. You just squeeze the trigger a second time to detonate, but if fired directly into an enemy, it can wrap them up. And then the fun really begins. A chained enemy can be detonated, but that's over far too quickly. Once their arms are bound, why not boot them into the sea, or kick them into an overgrown cactus? Maybe you could kick them into a gang of their friends and then detonate the whole lot. Or if you don't want to get your boots dirty, you could bring other weapons into play. Binding an enemy's arms is the Bulletstorm equivalent of a free kick. It's time for you to make the next move count. And when you get bored of all the bondage, it's time to fire up the secondary function. A flame that heats the chain and lets it cut through goons like a hot knife through butter. Do you chop them off at the knees or aim for their head? Chop off 2 heads at once and you can unlock the French Revolution skill shot. So it's kind of like murder and a history lesson rolled into one. That's one hell of a sell. Saints Row 4's Dubstep Gun is big and obnoxious. The perfect fit for the Saints, really. As its in-game description tells us, it's a party in a gun. Makes the world dance to your beat and feel the power of the wubs. Yes, this is a gun that emits dubstep that is so damn addictive that any pedestrian nearby are forced to dance to its crazy beat. Is there any other gun on this list you can dance to? I mean, you could try with Mr. Toots' rainbow fart, but you wouldn't get very far. More importantly, it fires heavy doses of pulse energy to the beat of the song it plays. And with a selection of 4 different tracks, you even have some control over that soundtrack. If you really want to cause some panic at the disco, you can upgrade it with explosive wubs that will chew through any vehicle or enemy in your way. I guess this is a metaphor for the way dubstep drills into your skull and turns your brain into a shuddering mess. And if the music ain't your thing, you can always mute the TV and turn that carnage into a moment of zen. My next choice is cheating, as I couldn't pick just one gun from Sunset Overdrive's arsenal of bizarre boomsticks. On some days, I'm in a shooter kind of mood, firing out bolts of lightning that fry the OD before passing the charge to next in line. Zap this into a crowd and you can set off a huge chain reaction. I love the smell of baked mutants in the morning. Or maybe you prefer the Dude, a gun that pays homage to the Big Lebowski's legendary slacker by firing flaming bowling balls. Its slow charge up time makes it a dud in a pinch, but if you've got the time to line up a queue of snarling beasts, you'll be hitting strike after strike. The dude abides, and we love it. Or perhaps you're the kind of lazy serial killer who wants to rest their trigger finger. For you, I'd recommend the Acid Sprinkler. This fires out tiny dolls that spray deadly chemicals from their heads, melting any flesh that attempts to run through to you. Drop a line of these and you can put your feet up and doze off to the relaxing sound of melting death. Basically, whenever you squeeze the trigger in Sunset Overdrive, something weird happens. And if you've got the Xbox Game Pass, it's currently included in that, so why not give it a go and find your own favourite. Gears of War's Easter eggs are the stuff of legend, with many offering an unusually literal take on the egg thing. Take this one, the Cluckshot, a reinvention of the boom shot that fires, well, exploding chickens. Our top pick of weird weapons requires a little bit of footwork to unlock, but it's worth the work. When you reach the deck of the ship in the game's first chapter, you'll find 4 pipes lining the walls. Empty some bullets into a pipe and Marcus will eventually tell into it. Tell into all 4 pipes and a chicken appears. Don't worry, it gets weirder. Shoot the chicken and it morphs into a flame-spewing mega hen. This thing is finger-licking fierce and it needs to be fed a diet of hot lead. Bring down the beast and the Cluckshot spawns in the balcony above the deck. Hop the wall on the right of the helipad and you can reach it and unleash the hens of war. If you've ever played Gears of War and thought to yourself, what would this be like with extra chicken sound effects added on top? Then now is your chance to find out. The battlefield will be a mess of blood and beaks, but no one ever said war would be pretty, or make much sense. This is clucking insane and my top weapon pick. Those are my picks for the 10 weirdest guns in Xbox history. Of course, there are loads that didn't quite make the cut, so please let us know your favourite weird weapons in the comments below. If you like this feature, we've got tons of lists for you to lose yourself in, so why not subscribe to the channel, give the video a like, and explore our playlist. And I'll see you again soon. Bye!